Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Broadway Jets YouTube channel. You'll know me from Twitter as NYJ Mike. I'm joined as always by the master of receipts, NYJ Matt. And Matt, happy Super Bowl Sunday. We were just recording a different video, and we have some breaking news from Mr. Jordan Scholes. I will read the tweet aloud. Sources: while further discussions are expected, the overwhelming belief is that the Jets are unlikely to move forward with Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback in 2025. With a new regime in place, many anticipate a fresh start, and a resolution is expected sooner rather than later. This is a real kick in the dick, Matt. It is heartbreaking news. We are in the midst of a 15-year playoff drought. We have a Hall of Fame quarterback who came to the Jets with extremely high expectations. He immediately tears his Achilles. He comes back the next season. The Jets go 5-12. He plays well down the stretch. We are hoping for another chance at magic, and we are being told it's very unlikely. It is extremely disappointing and frustrating.
Yep. And go off the Schultz report. A lot of the beat writers are now tagging on to it. Samini, Rosenblatt, saying, "Oh, it's kind of inevitable." I actually don't think they know what they're talking about.
They have no idea what they're talking about. They're all losers.
I think they're cherry picking that report. Adam Schefter also reporting on NFL Live that the growing consensus is that he's not going to return, but there are still conversations to be had. Now, we've always been in the boat that for 2025, the best route you go is Aaron Rodgers. I get the cap hit. I get him needing to take a pay cut. I want to know what your plan is. If you're listening to this episode, don't forget to subscribe. Your plan might be no Aaron Rodgers, and I get it. I do. I understand that route. Wouldn't be my route. But what is your plan? If Sam Darnold tells the Jets to go find a rock and kick it, if Kirk Cousins isn't satisfying for you because he's coming off an Achilles injury, if Matt Stafford doesn't want to complain in New York, is Tyrod Taylor and Jordan Travis your plan forward? If that is your plan forward, fine. I think that playoff drought goes 15-16, if not more. I think you have a quarterback under your roster who seems like he wants to be there. And if he does, I would think it is a mistake to move off him. And I could be dead wrong in 5 years. I could be dead wrong in a year. In 2020, we took a lot of heat for wanting to retain Darnold. Hey, that might have not even worked out if he stayed here. But Zach Wilson was not the answer. So give me your plan. And I hope to God that Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn are going to come in here and they have a plan, because I think that would be a potential punt on 2025 if you can't figure out what you're going to do at quarterback. And then you have a young roster who, in this environment, many of which can request a trade, and you might be in a full rebuild.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting older, these guys. Sauce and Garrett and Brees and Jermaine and AVT. These guys are all getting older, and they're going to need contracts. And I just don't know. I don't know what the Jets are thinking. I don't know if we don't know if it's the Jets. We don't know if it's Rodgers saying he doesn't want to come back or doesn't want to play. So hopefully we get those details figured out. It's still not completely over. There's still conversations to be had, whatever that means. So, string us along a little bit more. But man, dude, that was a real. We were at the end. We recorded a nice video.
We'll put it out tomorrow.
We'll still put it out. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm just like, that's just, because you were just waiting for the news. And were just expecting, all right, the Jets are expected to keep Rodgers as their quarterback. What? How? What? Who is what is that decision, man? And we got to see what they do. We got to see what they do. But what is that decision? If you're a head coach and you're a GM and you come over to a new place and you're looking at the quarterback options and you have a starving fan base, I know you want to build a consistent winner. I understand that. But to get rid of this guy who clearly played well down the stretch and was more mobile. I tweeted out the last 7 games, he threw for 240 yards a game, so 4,000 yards. He threw 13 touchdowns and 4 picks. That's a 32 touchdown, 9 interception pace. What the fuck are they going to do that's that? Tyrod Taylor. I can't stand it, man. I'm sick. This is sickening, disgusting. It's not right. We wait 15 years. You finally have a chance to have greatness, and they throw it in the trash. Not right, dude.
I think we'll have to find out where it's coming from, to your point. And if and I know the optics of it are Matt and Mike is banging the table for a 41-year-old quarterback who's losing mobility, coming off an Achilles a year ago. I get the optics of it. And what I always challenge you is if you're listening and you're like, they're dead wrong, DM us. If you want to reply to us, we can argue on the timeline all day and have a bunch of people arguing. I like debating it in the DMs too, to have like a true one-on-one, hear where you're coming from. The answer might be somewhere in the middle. Maybe Mike and I are too bullish on it, and I get that. I need to know your plan. I do. And
Yeah.
I think deep down, Aaron Rodgers does not want to go out with the stain of a 5-12 year. Because if this happened in 2008, 2005, nobody remembers these weird quarterbacks going to a random team. Yeah, Brett Favre went to the Jets and Vikings, but he's a Packer. He's a Hall of Famer. Like in the new modern era, you're almost defined by your last stop. And a lot of the definition around, I think, Aaron Rodgers for a long time isn't your first thought going to be Hall of Fame Packers quarterback great. You're going to be like, damn, he was a top 5 quarterback ever, but that Jets year was terrible.
Right.
And I think he wants to stay. He built a brand new house in New Jersey. He does not want to leave. I think he wants to come back. And I think he's pretty humble enough, ironically, to understand, hey, new regime, new fresh start. We get it. But if you can have him for 1 year, I know the cap will keep going up. You can always find a way to survive the cap. We watched the Vikings do it last year.
The cap hit, you're going to pay him not to play on your team. And this is not a rebuilding team. We just did the tier list, and I think we were honest about it. And there were 19 guys in the first 3 categories, which were top 5 player on the Jets, had a great year, solid player. That is a real winning team. You don't need to rebuild. What are you going to do? You're going to pay Aaron Rodgers $49 million not to play on your football team, and then you're going to play a worse quarterback when you have a young, good roster ready to compete. There was a reason, Matt. People want to say we overrate the players. I'm sure fans of their own team overrate their players sometimes, but you're not a rebuilding team. The Jets were projected to win the AFC East this year. You can do the same thing with a normal coaching staff, bulk up your defense a little bit, but no, we're going to actively cut the Hall of Fame quarterback on our roster and employ a worse quarterback. It is a twist the knife into our fans' chest and a big fuck you to the fans. That's what it really is. And we'll see what they do. If they get Darnold, if they get Cousins, I understand, and I won't kill them as much. But to your point,
what do you think the fan base is now? Because 8 weeks ago, I would say it was like 20% keep them, 80% leave.
Oh, now the fans are going to be 80% they want them.
I think it's probably like 70-30 right now. 65-35.
Which I don't know what the hell. I don't know why people are that wish-washy, but whatever. Do whatever you want, And he did play better down the stretch, so that is a factor.
You can change your take to new available information, but
yes,
a lot of the original takes were like you have to rebuild, trade everybody, move off them, and then you have a good couple weeks, and then you flip. And this is the weird thing too is I very much with the Darnold Wilson debate back in 2020. I feel like I'm wise enough to understand both sides of the argument. I really understand.
That one was way closer, Matt. I mean, Darnold was coming off, like we said, 9 touchdown, 11 interception, 2,000-yard season. We just thought Darnold had something. We saw 2019. The last 8 games for Darnold, he threw. He was on a 3,800-yard, 25 touchdown pace. That was what we saw, and we loved Darnold, and we thought he was going to be great. We had no available evidence. It was a hunch. And the Jets had the 2nd overall pick in the draft, and it wasn't like no one was going to draft Zach Wilson. So I understand why they did it. This one is sickening. You know what Aaron Rodgers is, and he wasn't bad last year. He threw 3,900 yards and 28 touchdowns, the best quarterback season we've ever seen. And you're going to throw him in the trash with a team that's ready to win, with a new coach who looks cool. I don't get it, man. I'm so sad. And I really thought, and I've been holding this in because I thought they were just going to go and keep him. Because it's an obvious move.
And a lot of people will say the obvious move for a new staff is to clean house, start fresh. But maybe the obvious move is to try to win year one. And if you do win year one,
man,
you get a longer leash. And if you don't win year one, if you kept Rodgers and you made the case for it, you'll still be given 2 to 3 years to build it in your image. It will sound like an excuse, and I know people don't want to hear it. Like the 2024 Jets in the areas they can control did not get it done in the 4th quarter. They didn't.
Yeah,
the defense didn't. The offense didn't. I get it. In the areas they did control, they were bad. They were incredibly unlucky. They were. Yeah. Kicker can make a kick. Defense makes one stand. Those factors.
They had the worst coaching staff in the league. They did.
I get it. And you probably in a real world, what occurred during that year even in those, if you take the areas that they could control, or like play better and have a kicker, you still probably steal 8 wins in that year, and then everything kind of looks a little bit different. When you're 5-12, I do get the take of, are we going to magically win 6, 7 more games? I think you can with a better
Yes.
coaching staff. I do.
We
But
talked about the games they lost this year that are insane.
I,
Insane. The Dolphins game, they didn't call. They can't manage the clock. They missed the kicking at the Broncos. They lost the Bills game, which was the worst officiated game of all time for both sides, honestly. Not they, and Zerline missed kicks again. They lost the Patriots game because Jacoby Brissett went 80 yards against the defense. They
Seahawks,
lost the
Indy.
Seahawks game. I don't even know how they lost that game. They lost insane. The Colts game. How the hell did they lose that game? I don't know how they lost any of these games. It's just insane. So you
The
look at
Rams
that.
game was very winnable too.
The Steelers game, they were destroying them in the first half. I mean, it's just like,
It
wow.
my whole thing will come down to, and I won't complain the timeline, and you have still people 18 months later talking about Brock Bowers. Like, I'm not going to be that guy that, oh, I wanted Rodgers. I'll probably be good for a monthly tweet or so, but I think our takes are very clear, and we talked about it in the pod that will drop tomorrow. But yeah, Darnold, is that feasible? Stafford, is that really going to happen? Kirk Cousins, half the fan base will immediately just throw out Kirk Cousins and say no regardless. And
Which
then
doesn't make sense to me.
is it Tyrod Taylor and Jordan Travis? Is it
Ugh.
drafting a quarterback on day 2? It gets to a point now where hope we're wrong, pray that we're wrong, and if we're wrong, we're one of the few people alive that will actually do this. Will be like, hey, I want a different path and it worked out. Fuck yeah.
Right.
We're
I
not
just
going to
want to
be
win
doom and
games.
gloom and sad and not go to games. That's what bothers me a lot, though, Mike. Like, we have season tickets. We're going to go to every game. We're going to root for whatever they
Of
decide.
course.
And we're not going to be like, when they're 0-4, we're not going to be the first ones to be like, we were right, you were wrong. Like, that's not who we are. But in 2027, if we're in a 16-year playoff drought and Rodgers goes to another team and makes a playoff run, we would be like, fuck that regime for not doing what we wanted. We will
Yes.
give it time. We will give it time.
Yes, exactly. We have to see what they do. We still don't even know if this is the end. But man, dude, it is just not right. If this is it, I am beyond frustrated. Again, it's a 15-year playoff drought, and when you're in a 15-year playoff drought, you want what you want to happen to the team, because at least if we're gonna lose our way, and it doesn't seem like it's gonna happen, and I think it's just such a mistake. You can't get rid of that guy, Matt. It's just you have a Hall of Fame quarterback with a win now, a team ready to win now, and you're gonna pay him not to play on your team, and I can't wrap my head around it. And Devontae's gonna be gone too, and it's just this is one of the most. This is the other than 2020 when we thought we had our guy and they got rid of him. This hurts. This one really hurts.
I'll give a shout out real quick to Hussein G21. When
Oh,
I
he's
tweeted
got a
out
good account.
we're doing an emergency pod, he goes, I can't wait to see NYJ Mike's opinion. Or like in parentheses, he's still right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be interesting. Jordan Schultz, we've talked to him before. We DM with them.
Yeah.
Good reporter. This could be a scenario where he's hearing things, but maybe this new regime isn't going to be a leak fest, and maybe that they said, hey, look, maybe that's our lean right now. And Rodgers can come back and say, here's what I'm going to do. A huge factor, which we've heard, other people are hearing too, is, hey, if you come back, no bullshit interviews outside, no missing OTAs or minicamp. Again, super overrated. I know everyone will still harp on it. Like, he went to every OTA that was volunteer, and he missed one mandatory minicamp, 2 days. Did him and Garrett Wilson not have a connection because they didn't practice for 2.5 hours on a Saturday? No, that's not what happened. So I don't care about that. But maybe if you say, hey, look, if you're here, you're doing it our way, and we believe our way is going to make us win, and if we all look at the end of the year in 2025 and it blows up in our face, the only bad thing now you have is extended cap hit, which does matter, but teams have survived it. And then Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji will have a minimum 2 years to build it in their own way, and they'll have 26 to 27 to do it.
Yeah.
But if it works in 2025 and you're a playoff team, you have a palate cleanser for the entire organization, not only the fan base. And also, Rick Spielman, I said on Twitter, I didn't frame it in a good way. You can't hire him and be remote. If he's going to truly fix our front office and do like a whole culture change, he can't live in Florida. He's got to get an apartment down in Hoboken. Like, he can't live in Florida and we
I'll
pay him
house him.
$1 million. We can't do that.
No, I get it. It's just I'm at a loss for words. I don't know, man. It's just too long of a drought. You're right. That 1 year buffer would have been great. You look at the quarterbacks in the playoffs this year, similar numbers to Rodgers, Mahomes, Matt Stafford. And Rodgers was just getting better as the year went on. And maybe like you were saying, maybe this is a leverage play for the Jets, where they're like, oh, we're probably not going to move on. And then he comes back and he's like, all right, I won't do McAfee. But it seems like a lot.
Yeah, and you want a decision. I want one. I want to move on from it. In 2020, I was like, just figure out what they're going to do, trade him so I can move on and be happy about what we're doing. Like, you can wait until March. You can have conversations with agents. Everyone's down in NOLA. Like, where is Stafford going to go? Where is Darnold going to go? You can have those conversations and not make a call on February 9th. Like, I don't think they're going to do that. But it sounds like this week a decision will be made. And there could be a scenario, Mike, where Rodgers says, I still want to play. And maybe there's not a team out there, maybe Tennessee, if they have a young quarterback they draft and then they want
the Giants. Ugh.
Yeah, it's like there's not that many openings where there could be a path where Rodgers says, I want to play, sees what's out there in the spring, and says, you know what? We're gonna call it a day and retire. Like I could live with that path.
Fine. But it has to be on his accord. If the Jets actively don't do it, it's just not right, man.
I think he wants to play. I'd be stunned.
I agree with you. Maybe the Steelers, maybe the Vikings, the Rams. But what are we doing? We have a quarterback need. We have him on the roster. He's our quarterback, and they're going to get rid of him. Oh, this is the most frustrated I've been ever as a Jet fan.
We don't know. Come on.
If it happens, it is the most frustrated I've ever been, because the Darnold thing I could understand more than this.
You would also understand it more if the Jets were picking third in the draft right now.
Yes, and I don't love to draft young quarterbacks, but obviously at some point you have to. And I like veteran quarterbacks. Clearly, you just have the guy, man.
My fear is the ripple effect, Mike. It's the ripple effect of Rodgers gone, Devontae gone.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have an unknown at the most important position in professional sports, and then I don't care if Rodgers is here or not here. I am firmly believing, even though Garrett Wilson did everything right in 2024, he's an elite player. I want to be on the Jets forever. I absolutely believe he's requesting a trade to Houston. I just can't fight it. And if you go into next season and your starting wide receivers are Malachi Corley, Xavier Gibson, holy shit, Mike. We talked about for decades not having receivers. We have two really good receivers right now on our roster. Like,
we have maybe the best wide receiver tandem in football. Maybe Tyreek Hill and Waddle, or Jefferson and Addison, but
there's a ripple effect here. There's a ripple effect.
Of course, there's a ripple effect. You're trying not to win games when you're on a 15-year playoff drought. And again, you want to build a winner. Having Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback this year does not make you not a winner. That is what's killing me. It's the same shit. They're going to either get another bridge quarterback, so just use your fucking guy who's great, or they're going to draft a guy. But you could still draft a guy if you have Aaron Rodgers.
And
why do they have to do this?
And you have Jermaine Johnson, you have Quincy Williams, you have Quinnen, you have Brees Hall, you have all these guys tweeting. Yeah, Garrett hasn't tweeted it yet, but all these guys want him back. And Aaron Rodgers is liking every post that the Instagram team puts out. It's like, guys, I think he wants to come back. Do we want to make the move? I would not move off him, and I've been consistent. You've been even more consistent on it, but we'll find out.
This is a dark day, Matt. This is a dark day if this is true.
We'll figure it out. We're good. Come on. We don't know yet.
We don't
know yet. If Schefter tweeted out the Jets are moving off him, it's very different for me. I'm not giving up hope. I think he's going to come back.
I still will hope until they have him on the roster, but if it's true, this is a low point. Low point. No good.
Back on Monday.
Bad.
I love you, buddy. Come on.
I love you too. I'm going to light myself on fire.